you're holding yourself bondage by the words you're speaking. Isn't that so?
It is. It's like the person that wants a specific person. You're saying, I'm unhappy. Come and join me in my unhappiness.
Yeah. Like attracts like.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what they're going to get. People don't realize that first you get you right, then you can attract right. Would you agree?
Oh, that's great. Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. In other words, you're going to get what you are. Are you all right?
That's the question.
Yeah. Actually, that's the whole thing. I've been talking about keep it simple, stupid, and all that. But I didn't do that. Not that often anyway. But the thing of it is that that's what we do. We agree with something, but then we don't act upon it. And because you don't act upon it, you don't keep it alive, and you forget it. That's exactly what we all do. That, and that's what you're told to be aware. To be aware of what you're talking to yourself about, what you're suggesting to yourself about. Be aware of that, and especially if it's wanting to get even with somebody or negative nonsense. What you see, it's as you think you are. That you're sentencing yourself by what you're saying. Isn't it so?
It is so. It is so. And you said, I didn't do that. And I chuckle because neither did I. But the truth of the matter is, neither did anybody listening to these talks at one point in their life or another. Would you agree?
Yeah, and more other. No, actually, no. That's the whole thing. People are talking to themselves. And they talk to themselves about a lot of nonsense at times, but they think that that's falling into the past. But you see, that's why we're here. That isn't falling into the past. You're creating your future. And you call with a problem, well, you're the problem. It's as you think you are. If you're unhappy with what you are, then it's what you're thinking. Stop it. Start a new thought. I mean, you can choose a different thought, can't you? I mean, I hope you can dream the dream you're told to dream the dream. Is that what you're doing? When you're sitting alone by yourself, is that what you're doing? Are you actually dreaming the dream, or are you thinking about everything that's problematic to you? Well, then that's what you'll experience, what you're actually focused on. What has your attention has your life. Just that statement alone should actually rattle your cage a little bit, don't you think?
I do. And I think that it goes back to what you said. A lot of times we're focusing on a lot of nonsense, and a lot of times other people want to bombard you with a lot of nonsense, and you have to be disciplined enough to say, I really don't have time for that, and you're not being unkind, but you don't want everything resonating in your spirit. Would you agree?
Oh, no, that's right. It's like I said, you can overload with what's going on around you and not take even a moment to really think of what's going on within you. You see, it's what you're paying attention to. You give your attention. If you invest your attention in something, then you get a dividend. But if you invest your intention on, well, what does Scripture say? Not to have any mischievous imaginings. Well, see, that's what you do. You start imagining things against people, seeing things happen to other people, even though you see it all the time on television and that. You see, you're being programmed. We're all being programmed when we pay attention to whatever it is that is going on as a program. Attitudes. Your attitudes are brought up and you feel them. attitude awareness and imaginational control is what everyone is really looking for. That will bring you things you desire rather than things you don't desire if you use it wisely. But that's the whole thing. You have to use it wisely. So you have to know what wisely is. And that's what we're telling you, that if you'll pay attention, you'll be wise. If you're not paying attention, well, you're setting yourself up, wouldn't you say?
It's true. And it made me think about Neville's wife. She said she had a dream, and the dream told, stop spending your time, your energy, and your money and begin to invest those things. And most of us never get there. Would you agree?
Well, absolutely. I mean that's the reason why it's so large, is because nobody wants to be responsible for themselves. You're always looking for someone else, the government or somebody, to hold your hand. Look, this is you making yourself. That's what it says, isn't it? They themselves are makers of themselves. So, who are you going to point at as who's at fault if you're the one making of yourself? See, that's it. You got to go alone into the silence and feel after him, and you'll find him, you, doing, being, having your ideal. Otherwise, if you're not doing that, your environment will be putting upon you what it wants you to do and be. And then you complain about it, and what you complain about, you get more to complain about, because all things produce after their own kind. See? So you're either setting yourself up or setting yourself free, and you know which it is, but you can change it if you'll change your mind, change your world, right?
It's true, and I keep going back to your speaking about the silence, and I think that most people don't understand the importance of understanding what's happening in their own inner conversation. And so this is why we stress getting quiet. Don't worry about meditation or anything else. Just get quiet, starting out with 5 to 10 minutes a day. Just listen to what it is that you're saying to yourself, because it's transforming your world of experiencing. And the only way that you're going to change it is realize what it is that you're saying to yourself. And if you don't get in the silence, if you don't take time to meditate, and when I say get in the silence and meditate, you don't have to think about anything. But as you're in the silence, just contemplate what's coming to mind when you're in the silence.
It is an individual challenge. And it is a challenge because most people, by the time they get around to do contemplation and meditation, they're usually older people that really get serious about it. But it really is nothing more than just an attitude. I would like to say this. I had a bookstore before, and I had thousands of books. And and they're usually spiritual books, because that was the whole idea. But what they were saying was, in all of these books by all of these famous authors, and you probably know all of them at some time or another, you've heard their name and what they said. And what it was they were saying is that attitude. Man is the sum of his attitude toward life in general. So that tells you right away that you have the button, the attitude button. And you can change your mind, change your world. That was given to you, first person, that you can change your mind. You're told, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, if you're renewing it, you're getting rid of the old stuff, right?
True.
Well, there you are. You want to know how to get rid of it? Just think about the good stuff. It's really that simple, isn't it?
It is. You know what? And even though you just gave the secret, I'm going to call it the secret because most people don't know it. Most people, it's going to go right over their head. You said, do you know how to change the negative stuff? You said, think about the good stuff. Now, like I said, most people are going to hear that, and it's going to go in one ear and out the other, but there's going to be a few people. They're going to say, you know what, I'm going to start focusing on the good stuff because that's what I want to manifest in my life. And I've listened to a lot of speakers. Like you said, you've probably got the library of most of them. But in listening to all of those speakers, whether it be a Bryant Tracy, a Jim Rohn, Les Brown, I could go through the list of all of these great speakers of the past, and many of them are still living. But transformation only took place when they begin to look at their attitude and change it. Would you agree?
That's all there is to it. I mean, you just told them right there. That's all there is to it. You just you're making a decision. You make up your mind to do something. That's making a decision. Now, if you stick with your decision, then you get the results. It's that simple, isn't it?
I love it. And I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to repeat what you just said. You said you're making a decision. People hear what's being said. You make a decision. If you stick to the decision you've made, whatever that decision is, you're going to get the results.
That's it. I mean, all I can do is just what you just did, repeat it. Repeat it and repeat it. It's the reiteration and reiteration that you need to get it deep enough in your mind to actually make a mindset out of it. So it acts automatically. See, if you make the right mindset, you get the right attitude of it. It's beneficial. It'll save you. It'll save you. That's it. You do that. You're saving yourself. He says, work out your own salvation. Well, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You give away all of these nonsense ideas and replace them with good ideas. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you what good ideas are. I mean, I think you got an idea anyway, don't you think?
If it's not leading to where you want to go, it's a nonsensical ideal. And I go back to what you just stated. Most people never make the decision. They think that they've made a decision. They've made a hope so. They made a wish list, but they truly never make the decision. The person that says, I'm going from one place to another place. I'm in Barbados, for example.
Right.
When you're there, you're there. Now, just because physical body hasn't gotten there yet and reality hasn't wrapped itself and clothed you in being there yet, when the person is truly there, nobody can shake that person who is there. You understand? And do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, that's what it's all about, is being wherever you want to be. Choose this day. Where do you want to be? Just be there over and over and over. And each time you do make a little vision out of what you're thinking feelingly about, you're actually building. It's building. And that's why you're told, as long as you stick to the idea, the decision that you've made, you get the results, and you will. I mean, all you have to do is test it. And then what are you told? God tells you, test me now herewith and see if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You don't even have room to receive it all. Isn't that what it says?
That's exactly what it says. And I want to add a story quick one. Victor Franco was in a German Nazi concentration camp. And Victor Franco, I'm going to say that again so I can clear it up. Victor Franco was in a German concentration camp. And Victor always saw himself getting outside that camp and transforming lives. And that's what he did. He made a decision. And many people died in that camp because they didn't make a decision to survive. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's it. You see, the thing of it was is that he lived outside of the camp. They only had the body. They couldn't touch him. They can kill the body, but they can't touch him. He's free. He knew what freedom was. Freedom is something that you occupy that state of freedom and do it consistently, no matter what's going on around you, no matter even if it's a prison camp. Whatever's going on around you is just that, what's going on around you. What are you doing? That's what you're important to find out. What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you feeling after? Because what you're feeling after is feeling after you. Now think about that one for a minute. From a concentration camp, an individual seeing himself out and being out and could not be convinced otherwise, he's free. Isn't that the story?
It is the story, and I want to go back to a statement you made. You said he lived outside the camp. Even though his body was physically there, mentally, he lived outside the camp. You, the listener, you have to live outside your circumstances. You can't judge according to appearance. If you do, you're locked into appearance. Would you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're told very definitely not to choose by appearances, because then you just keep repeating the same situation you want to be away from. See, it's as you think you are. See, what you're thinking about moment by moment is using your life energy to exist. And you can stop it immediately just by changing the channel, so to speak. I know how it works, and I know how to work it, but I can't work it for anyone else. They have to work it for themselves. And that's what we're doing. We're working it for them up to the point to where they see exactly what they're doing. Isn't that it?
It is it. And you said thinking is using your life's energy. So be mindful of what it is that you're giving your life's energy to. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Just a matter of being aware of what self is doing. It is reasonable to question what self is doing often, because you do so much in a habitual state of consciousness that really you're not thinking about or actually even giving any credit to our suggestion of not having any credit. It's what you think, you are, you do, you have, you be. So all you have to do is change what you think. Change your mind, change your will. Your mind is what you're thinking with. And thinking what? Really? I mean, that's the question I started asking myself. What are we doing? Where are you going with this? I'm off somewhere doing something, and it says, what are we doing here? This is beneficial? No, stop it. And then you stop. But it's you correcting you, not looking for someone outside to correct. They'll give you the information that you need to correct yourself, but it's you who does the correcting. First person, present tense experience, because you're the one experiencing first person, present tense experiencing. All that you think you are, you are. What do you think? You are. Isn't that it?
That's it. You said something. You said, question what self is doing. If self is not getting the results that it desires, question what self is doing. Begin questioning your activities, your mindsets, the interactions that you have daily, the people that you interact with daily, if you're not getting the results that you want, begin questioning what self is doing. Would you agree?
That's it. What are you doing? If you want to look, what's going on in the world around you is what is coming out of you. It's coming through you. You see, all we're required to do is to choose wisely or unwisely, but we are given to choose, and we are choosing aware or unaware. All we're suggesting is that you just be more aware of what you're allowing yourself to entertain as thought, because it's your world of experiencing. Isn't that so?
It is. And I always like that you put the emphasis on, we're not telling you what to think, but what we're telling you that as you think, you are, you do, you be. Would you agree?
That's it. And you know, who knows better than the individual what they're thinking? There's a lot of things you think about. You don't never tell anyone out on or without, but yet it always seems that everybody knows about it. It's all an attitude. The attitude is affecting your own attitude is affecting the way you think and feel. Now, just check on your attitudes. I mean, they tell you all about yourself. Don't isn't that so?
If you listen.
Yeah, there's magic. If you listen, that's it. That's the magic. If you listen. And actually, even when we think we're listening, because we still hear that we're kind of talking to ourselves, but that doesn't mean we're actually paying attention to understand that it's positive or not. Isn't that exactly what we're trying to teach ourselves?
It's true. Yes.
I mean, that's very simple, isn't it?
Yeah, but we complicate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is, but we complicate it. I mean, it's our nature to complicate that which is simple. And it goes back to what you often say. If you're a parent and you had a message to leave to your children, wouldn't you make that message as simple as possible? And God's done just that in saying, as you think, you are, you do, you be.
That's it. That's it. Just keep it simple. Keep repeating that to yourself until it takes hold. Because it's just like somebody gives you a phone number. Do you remember it just one time? Or do you have to write it down? Or do you have to say it over and over and over a few times? And why are you listening to it and saying it over and over and over if it wasn't the reason to remember? Well, that's the same thing with all what we're talking about. If you don't run it over and over in your mind, what we're talking about, you just forget it. And then you come back again and you hear it again. But how many times do you have to hear it? As a matter of fact, hey, sell them some CDs out there. Okay?
Absolutely. We'll make sure that they get the notice for the CDs. And a lot of people say, well, how do I know what it is that I'm talking to myself about? And I'll give you, God's given us a litmus test. And it says, you shall know a tree by the fruits it bears. Your lifestyle, what you're living at the moment, is the byproduct of your thoughts, your words, your actions, your states, your feelings, your emotions. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And you can't deny that it always brings forth fruit as long as you keep it watered. I mean, come on. You have to do something so it allows you to do that, to think on things that are lovely and of good report continuously. Why not? It doesn't take any extra energy, does it?
Well, it does when you're dealing with, and we'll call it ego, but it does when you're dealing with ego. There's that part of us that you say think on lovely and what's of a good report. And they say, well, you just can't think like that all day. How many people are really out there saying that right now? But the truth of the matter is you can think on what you choose to think on. As we start off with this broadcast, you have the power to choose what it is that you're giving your attention to. Is that correct?
If you practice it, are you practicing it? Come on, you wouldn't go to Carnegie Hall and expect to play something great if you never practiced. Come on. You have to practice what you preach. Ooh, I hate saying that.
Well, speaking about practice or discipline, many people believe that they're going to get this stuff by osmosis, and all of a sudden they're just going to be filled with this stuff. It's not going to come apart from you having a disciplined mind. Would you agree?
Hey, listen, absolutely. I understand them listening often. That's the reason why we do these talks in the way we do them, is that it's just a conversation. And that nothing is said about the individuals doing or not doing. It's just that it is your say. What are you saying with your say? That's the whole message, isn't it?
It is the message.
So if they know what they're saying, well, that's what they'll be experiencing. And when they're experiencing it, if they're enjoying the experience, then they had the right say. And someone says, well, that's easier said than done. Well, that's what's so beautiful about it. And that, thank God, it's easier said than done, because that's what we were given to do. Say it. Isn't that it?
That is it. And going back to that statement, easier said than done, we don't always get it right. I don't always get it right. But what I am now, when I don't get it right, I'm aware, and I know that I'm responsible for the results, whatever they may be.
That's it. That's right. And you are. You can't talk yourself out of it, no matter how hard you try. You're 100% responsible. And that's the way it should be. Because that's the only way you have the freedom to be what you want to be. Because if you're not going after what you want to be, somebody else is going after you to be what they want you to be.
It's true. And I want to go back to the 100% responsible. And kind of what you just said about the wannabe. You're not responsible for anyone else but you.
Right. Right. I wish you the best, but shit. Wish you the best. We share the information, which allows us to choose for ourselves, and we do so, and that's the reason why we have the success that we have. It's because we chose it. Why not? God's not stingy. He says, ask. That's it. It's that simple. Ask. One word, ask. And we don't ask, or we don't ask correctly. And asking incorrectly is the whining and crying about everything that's going wrong. Because then you only get a repeat of exactly what you said in your life of experiencing. So your prayer was answered because you got what you expected, not necessarily what you wanted. So you're the only problem in not receiving. And you can correct that. All you have to do is just practice. That's all. Isn't that it?
That is it. People just want to know what you did to be successful.
The 4 CDs that I have out there, it's all there. If you took any one of the CDs and actually followed through on what you understood there, you could change your mind, change your world. All you have to do is just listen to the CDs. It's always reiteration and reiteration.
I want to go back to the or CD set, go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. We can only mail in the U.S. right now, but for those who are outside the U.S., we can send you a digital bundle with everything, so you'll get the enjoyment without waiting for it in the mail. Matter of fact, those who are in the U.S., if you would rather have the digital copies, we can do that as well. metaphysicalarttheater.com. You have the power. What would you say to the listener in closing?
They have the power. That's all I'm telling them, is that they're using the power. What are you doing with the power? That's it. All they have to do is just keep asking themselves that question, and they'll have a revelation as to exactly what's happening to them, from them, right?
And I want to add this to that statement. If you don't believe that you have the power, it's time to take your power back. Would you agree?
Yeah, it certainly is, because otherwise you're just a drifter through space. That's all. Just a drifter. Things happen to you. You don't know why, and you're told why they are happening to you, because as you think, you are. Well, what are you thinking about? Oh, just keep in mind, what am I thinking about now? Is this something I really want to experience? And if it is, okay, fine, open it and quicken it. But if it isn't, just drop it immediately. Because even if you think about it even for a few seconds, you can get caught up into the world of experiencing. And you're told to be in the world but not be of the world. And you'll know the difference once you test it. Wouldn't you say?
I would say, sir, it's been a pleasure.
Okay. Well, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.